Well, good afternoon here on the East Coast, and good morning on the West Coast, and happy Sunday if it's still Sunday where you are in the world. This is Michael Dotterer, and I'm on the dot, and we have a fantastic show for you today. Hopefully, you can hear this. I'm just broadcasting via LinkedIn, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and we're using StreamYard, which I love that they can broadcast this everywhere. So first, we have not been on the dot in the last probably 6 weeks or so. And as many of you know, the news has been reporting the tragedy in the Ukraine. And what I'd like to do is to focus on peace in this short segment until we bring our guest on. And there's four people that I admire for their dedication toward peace and understanding. And I'd like to start with Eleanor Roosevelt. She had a great quotation saying, "It isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it. One must work at it." So I encourage all the leaders around the world to work toward peace. And there's no doubt in my mind, if all of the United Nations countries work on peace, we will have peace very soon. There's no doubt about it. But we must choose it and we must work at it. The second person who I was a great admirer of and is one of my heroes is Albert Einstein. And he said something very profound. He said, "Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding." And that leads me to what Dr. Martin Luther King said, is that let no person pull you low enough to hate them. And I think when you think about what Einstein said about peace and understanding and what Dr. King said about hatred, you have to understand. We have to dig deeper to understand why people do certain things. And we have to get rid of this mindset that, this angry mindset. It's just critical to our survival on this planet. So finally, I will leave you with this quotation, wonderful quotation by Mahatma Gandhi, who was another hero of mine and dedicated toward peace, peaceful resolution of conflict, and was an amazing person in the 20th century. And he said, "There is no path to peace. Peace is the path." So again, I encourage and pray that all of the leaders around the world focus on peace, and it will happen. But everyone, all the leaders are part of it. And that's my message for this Sunday. Also, we've got some birthdays. We've got some wonderful birthdays coming up. We're going to, as I said, we're going to start in about 8 minutes. We're going to have Gary on, my good friend Gary, and I'll tell you a little bit more about him in just a few minutes here. But there's some birthdays today. My cousin Jeanette Dotterer's birthday is today, and she lives in Arizona. Happy birthday, cousin Jeanette. My good friend Sherry Smith Comfort, but I like to just say CC, Sherry Comfort. It's her birthday today in California. Happy birthday, Sherry. Mickey Dixon, who is a good friend. I'm friends with the family, the Dixon family. Happy birthday, Mickey. Happy birthday to Lisa Cavalli, who's up in Napa, California. Happy birthday, Lisa. Happy birthday to Kristen Lambert, who is, she is here in New York, upstate New York. Happy birthday, Kristen. Happy birthday to the famous singer Mariah Carey and her counterpart, Lady Gaga. It's their birthday today, their same birthday, and they might be in Hollywood for the Oscars today. So if they are, happy birthday to both of them. Happy birthday to my former running back coach at Stanford, my senior year, and we're going to talk about that amazing game in a few minutes here. Happy birthday to Coach Jim Anderson, who was also the longest serving assistant coach in NFL history. He was the running back coach after he left Stanford for the Cincinnati Bengals for, I think, 30 plus years. Amazing run for Coach Anderson. Happy birthday, Coach Anderson. Happy birthday to my fellow Stanford footballer, Elile Swinton. Happy birthday, Elile. And Elile starred in a movie about football. You can look him up on IMDb. And he's in Southern California. Maybe he's going to the Oscars today. Happy birthday to Brian Mulvilson, who's up in Oregon, who I met through EA Sports. And Brian, I hope you check out the Players NIL. It's an amazing organization. They could really use your help. So again, happy birthday, Brian. Happy birthday to former Stanford quarterback and good friend who lives up in the Dakotas, Chris Berg. I think he's in Fargo, North Dakota, I think. A great guy, outstanding quarterback at Stanford and doing some great things in public service up in the Dakotas. Happy birthday to my friend Lee Steinberg. Many of you may know that he was the inspiration for Jerry Maguire. It's Lee's birthday today. Happy birthday to Lee. Happy birthday to Ken Burns, who's my colleague at Club Nirvana. Happy birthday, Ken Burns, and an outstanding basketball player, a guy that was in the he's in the New York State Hall of Fame for basketball. Happy birthday to Sean Ratliff, who I just met a few weeks ago. It's his birthday. Happy birthday to former Dallas Cowboy Doug Cosby, the tight end for the Cowboys. And happy birthday to another Texan who's living down there in Texas, Scott Bowling, my good friend Scott Bowling. And happy birthday to my former NFL alumni friend Aaron Pryor, who was a defensive back in the National Football League. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to Eric Poldreau, who I met. I haven't met him personally yet, but I've met him virtually. And he's focused on mental health, which is a huge issue. And he works with an organization called The Zone. So happy birthday to Eric. And happy birthday to Cale Yarborough. That is a name. I've never met Cale, but he was a guy that when I was a little kid, I used to watch Cale Yarborough and Richard Petty race head-to-head when they would be at the Daytona 500. And I believe Cale won 4 Daytonas. So happy birthday to Cale. And this day in history, sports history, it was the first international rugby union match back in 1871. And that's where Scotland beat England 1-0 at Rayburn Place in Edinburgh. So the 1871, the first international rugby union match. And as many of you know, rugby inspired Americans to start American football, and cricket inspired Americans to start what is right around the corner in April, baseball, the great game of baseball. So there you have it. And we've got another 4 minutes before we bring on Gary. But let's see here. I've got a few other things. Well, yeah, you know what? It's going to take me a while to introduce Gary because he has such an illustrious background. He's amazing. And let me just tell you, we were classmates at Stanford, and he studied industrial engineering. He grew up in Eastern Pennsylvania. Eastern Pennsylvania, a place called Reading. And he went to high school, Mount Penn High School, which I want to ask him when he comes on, does Mount Penn High School still exist? He, as I said, came to Stanford, and he started playing the trombone when he was 5 years old. He's an amazing musician. He joined the Stanford band when I was on the Stanford football team and baseball team. And so we were on campus for 4 years and enjoyed what we call the farm. And he has gone on since that time. He's been worked in the venture capital field. He's the chief financial officer of the Woodside Fund. And now he's leading a company. He's the chief financial officer of an amazing organization called To Be Kind, which has an unbelievable product called Anesthesia that was developed. And he was the formulator, if you will, is John Rainbolt, our mutual classmate at Stanford. John, who's just brilliant, and how he has been able to put together this formulation called Anesthesia, which when it launches is going to be a great product that anyone all over the world, hopefully will, with Gary's help, they'll be able to get that product out everywhere. And let me see here. There's probably more I want to talk. Oh, yes. You know what? There was actually, we want to talk about his mother. His mother is amazing. His mother is Gladys. And she is a centenarian. And I hope that Gary talks about his mother. I mean, I really do. It's amazing. She was born in 1917 and she's still here. I believe she lives in Lake Havasu. So let's start off with this. There's a couple quotations and then maybe that can stimulate some ideas. There was an article written 20 years ago in the Stanford magazine by Jackie Krentzman, who received her undergraduate degree from Michigan. She's a go blue, go big Michigan grad, and she got her master's in journalism from the University of California, Berkeley. And she wrote an article 20 years ago, which was the 20th anniversary of the play. And Gary, he's obviously one of the stars of the play, that game. And these are some of the quotations that came of that article. And I'd never seen them before because I looked up the information. This is a quotation from John Elway. "We just wish we had the band come out for some tackling practice." I'd never seen that quotation. What a great quotation. He's got a great sense of humor. So it's nice to see John could laugh about it. And I do wish we could talk about Gary when he comes on about tackling. And then another one, Donald Kennedy, former Stanford president, said, "In retrospect, I realized this was one of the great things that occasionally happens in college sports. That is, every once in a while, something happens that reminds you that it isn't the National Football League. Instead, this is a game conducted largely by 19 and 20-year-olds. And every once in a while, something marvelously unexpected happens. And of course, I think it would have been lovely if it happened to someone else. But the fact that it happened to us doesn't make it anything awful. In fact, I think it was sort of neat." That was our President Kennedy. And then 3 questions that I got from an interview that Gary gave to a young boy named Zane, who was helping him with his trombone. And this is a great quote from Gary. He said, "When you get down, get back up." And that was the advice, Gary, you gave to Zane on that interview that I listened to. And then finally, Gary, to make this go viral, and I'm going to stop talking, someone told me if you do the 5 top Stanford band songs of all time and the top 5 trombone songs of all time, and that could be the theme, because for some reason, when you put the top 5 or the top 10, it's kind of like David Letterman when he used to do that. People like to hear that. So with that, I'm going to bring on my good friend, my Stanford classmate and amazing person, Gary Tyrrell. Gary, let me bring you on, brother.
Hey, hi, Mike. How you doing?
Hi, Gary. How are you? I've gotten all the talking out. It's all yours, buddy.
Well, it's good to see you and to speak live with you. That's great. So what do you want to talk about? Football?
You could talk whatever you want to talk about. I started off before you got on in the background there, before you got behind the curtain. I just said a few words of prayer and peace to our comrades in that are struggling in the Ukraine. So I just kept it focused on peace, but
good.
Other than that, we talked a little bit about the Oscars coming up. There's a big game in basketball. Was it St. Pete's or St. Is it what's the team? That's the
St. Peter's, but there's a bigger one against Texas at 6:00 tonight.
Right. Yes, the Cardinal.
Yep. Our Cardinal.
Tara Van de Veer.
Yes.
And remember, you have to say Tara, because I used to say Tara, and again, it's like, it's now. It took me a while, Gary, because I used to say to you, you're Gary Tyrrell, and I used to say Tyrrell, and I'm thinking, what a dummy.
Just an alternative pronunciation. It's all right. I've been called worse.
Well, I'll never forget it, because when you said to me, Mike, the best way to remember is I'm tearing up the gridiron. And that's what you did. So take us back.
Ever in peril.
Take us back, brother.
Well, that's just sort of for perspective. A couple years ago, I wrote a speech for a high school graduation, and what I did is one of my main themes was, framing, everyone's life as an individual journey with various inflection points along the way. And, some of those you can plan for, like, when we got our acceptance letters from Stanford, inflection point really changed your life. And, I said, when you get to those inflection points, what you should do is get out of your comfort zone a little bit. So, that could mean public speaking, or doing a zip line over a jungle canopy, or introducing yourself to that person that you think is totally out of your league. So those are some inflection points. And then there are other inflection points that find you. And an example in my life would be, those couple seconds right after the end of your college football career and the beginning and ending of my college football career. And the thing about those inflection points is you look at them as opportunities for growth and enlightenment. And it took me a while to get over how that all came down, but I learned some lessons in humility and sportsmanship, and developing a sense of humor. So that's what I got out of the play.
Well, speaking of a sense of humor, you like my background there? You see that NCAA awards the game to Stanford.
Best prank ever. Yes, that's the fake Daily Californian that the Stanford Daily newspaper put out and distributed on the Cal campus the Tuesday after the big game happened. And by luck and fortune, the real Daily Cal that day was delayed at the printers. So those were the only newspapers on campus for a while. Very good prank.
Yeah, it was, and to this day, I mean, we say it when we win the Axe, we take the score off and put on 20-19, right?
That's right. Yes. Yeah.
And you turned, what's amazing about that experience, it's almost Shakespearean. It's not just a football game. It's about life. As you said to that young man that you did an interview with a few months back, life teaches you when you get knocked down, you got to get back up. And that's what you did. When Kevin Moe knocked you down, you got right back up, right?
I did. Yes. It was a confusing time, but yeah, I mean, in the moment, of course, I'm not a very big guy, and so I didn't see what was happening on the field. I was, facing the Stanford crowd, and I saw the scoreboard go down to 0 seconds. Saw some of my bandmates rush the field, and turned around and corner my eye. I saw this Cal guy, figuring he just wanted to get the heck out of here. But he had the ball, and next thing I knew, I was down. But I'd seen enough, football on TV where a player might run out of bounds and knock over a cheerleader or a camera person or something like that, and that's all I thought it was. I didn't, I had no idea about the miracle that had transpired in the seconds before to get Kevin to introduce himself to me.
Did you, since that time, Gary, I'm sure you've gotten to know a lot of the guys that were on the football team. And do you have anyone in particular, or two or three of the former players that you have stayed in touch with, or that you've had interesting conversations with about that game?
Well, besides you, and we're talking about the Stanford guys, Chris Dressel also, I've gotten together with him socially a few times. I think he was probably one of your co-captains. I don't know, but tight end, and he played for the Houston Oilers for a while. I think he finished up his career with the 49ers, but he made a pretty good living in the NFL before, I think, going into real estate now. And last time I saw him was at a Dead and Company show. He turned into a deadhead.
Yeah, well, music is wonderful for soothing the soul when you're having trauma like we did 40 years ago. Music's amazing what it can do for to make you feel better. So yeah, the Grateful Dead.
Yep.
So talk about let's talk about the 5 greatest band songs. What would you, if you had to rank the top 5 band songs, Stanford band songs, what would be number 5? Number 5.
Living in the USA.
Living in the USA. Love that. Yeah, that is. I remember that. It was a great one. Okay. Number 4.
White Punks on Dope.
Yes. Great song. Was that hard to play with the trombone, White Punks on Dope?
Nah, there are harder ones.
Number 3.
I Wish. Stevie Wonder.
Oh, yes. I love Stevie. Number 2.
What is Hip? Tower of Power.
Yep. Great song. And number 1.
All Right Now, Victory Mix.
Yep. Great song.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I did not know that the new band director gets appointed 4 seconds with left to go in the game. Is that when they appoint the?
Oh, not the director, and I don't know whether they still do this. I've been sort of out of touch with the band, but traditionally, up until through 1982, the band management shifts from the assistant manager. The assistant manager becomes manager at the end of big game, which was traditionally the last game of the season, when it was an 11-game season. And starting in 1983, what they did is they said, okay, we're going to, so think about the guy who became Gary Robinson became the manager at the end of the 1982 big game. It's like the other manager, John Howard's, it's like, okay, all yours. Now they do the transition at 4 seconds left in the big game.
Right. I love that. That's so creative. So, how about the 5 favorite trombone songs of all time? If you had to pick 5, because I recall you talking about this with that young Zane, and
yes.
he's just starting to play the trombone.
Yeah, we've had a couple jam sessions already.
Oh wow!
Via Zoom. So I'm gonna introduce him to a couple Stanford band songs next time. Come join the band and Birthday by the Beatles.
Okay.
So
now, would those, if you had your top 5 songs for the trombone, what would be number 5 if you had to rank them?
Well, I'd probably say, those the first 4 that I mentioned in the other list.
Yes.
All Right Now isn't that great of a bone chart. But say Old Folks Boogie by Little Feat. I would replace All Right Now and put in Old Folks Boogie.
Okay.
And all those others.
And could you name the others for our audience who's tuning in right now?
Yes. Living in the USA. I Wish. Let's see. Boy, my memory. I'm blanking, Mike. Sorry about that.
Well, no, don't worry. They'll come back to you. I blank every day. So
what is hip?
What is hip? Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know.
Well, that's a good segue. We could go back. It'll probably come to you because we really need to talk about your amazing mother, Gladys. Can you share? I mean, truly, I looked it up. Less than 1% of the population is a centenarian.
Okay. Well, and I know that I was your backup choice for this session, that you really wanted to speak with her. but wasn't able to make it.
Well, we want to get her on. Yes, we do at some point. You know, you never know. You never know.
Well, so she was born in 1917. She's 104 years old now. So this is not her first pandemic. She was second youngest of 7 children, born in Michigan, grew up in Saginaw, Michigan. And in the early 1940s, she hopped on a train and moved out to San Diego, California to start working. And during a tea dance at the Hotel del Coronado, she met my dad. They got married in 1946, and happily married, till my dad's passing in 99. She's still living independently in her own home. She's driving less, but she still has her license. And every time I visit her, I learn something new. It might be about, a new recipe or cooking tips or homemaking tips, things like that, or stories from her younger days. And she's a great inspiration to everyone who knows her. She stays socially active. She had a social bubble during the lockdown, so she was still able to spend some time doing game nights with a few of her friends. Loves to read. She'll read anything, but mainly paperbacks, so that when she falls asleep reading, it doesn't break her nose, and larger font because that's easier to read. But she's just a dear person, and she's loved by many.
Well, I can't wait to meet her at some point. I really want. She's just amazing. And what would you say, Gary? Because she is so full of wisdom. What does she have a message for all of us who are much younger and are struggling? Obviously we're having this issue with this conflict in the Ukraine, or with the pandemic that we just went through. What wisdom has she shared with you that you could share with our audience that are listening today?
I think the gist is golden rule, and just be kind. It's really simple as that. Kindness and empathy are renewable resources. If I exercise kindness, doesn't mean that there's less available for you to share with others. So it's really simple as that.
Yeah, to be kind. Well, what a great segue to talk about to be kind. Yes.
Yeah.
John Rabel, I hope John's listening right now, John. We're going to dive right into To Be Kind and Anicia.
Yeah. So our friend John, you've had him on the dot, recently, and he was able to share his story and his vision and some of the science behind our products. And so the To Be Kind products are for plant-based topical products, personal care products for people to do their own microbe management. There it is. And you mentioned the aniseed oil, and I know you've used it, and it's been helpful for you. I am fortunate in that, while a fairly physically active person, in my 60 plus years, I haven't had to deal with chronic pain, knock on wood. But it's as people get older and stay active, having these products to manage their microbes before their microbes manage them, and just help with the revitalization and recovery. It's something that we expect can be very helpful to many people.
I love this quotation that you have 10 times more microbes in and on you than you have human cells in your body. If you don't manage your microbes, they will manage you. At To Be Kind, we use our ancient relationships with plants to optimize our relationships with microbes, increase your vitality, become a microbe manager today. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. No, I am all in on John's vision for the company, and it's been a delight to reconnect with him. We hadn't seen each other in many years, and now we're getting together a few times every week to see if we can get this thing off the ground and successful and growing. So in my CFO role, I'm basically responsible for setting up the administrative infrastructure of the company and the financial modeling and projections in support of both the business strategy and for fundraising.
And are you accepting checks right now?
Yes.
Okay. So how would they would just get in touch with you at the tobekind.com website that's streaming below?
Yeah, or you can email me or John. I'm at thegarytyrrell@gmail.com.
Okay, great.
And we love to hear from people who are interested in working with us.
It's interesting. I was talking to one of my friends who I think you've met or spoken with, Alex von Allman.
Yeah.
And we were comparing anesthesia with Gatorade. How Gatorade started back in I think the 60s in Florida.
The University of Florida, right?
Yeah, and the Florida football team, they used it for hydration. And, we've come a long way since the 60s and knowledge about our bodies and health and wellness. And this whole discovery of microbes, if you were to, how would you express this to the layperson that doesn't know much about microbes?
Oh, well, I'd say take it away, John. But basically, microbes are all around us. They're key to how we there's in our guts. There are a lot of microbes there, and they are key to how we get the good stuff out of the food we eat. And the idea with the anesthesia is it's plant-based, and man and plants have been co-evolving over our shared time on Earth. John talked about how certain plants, for instance, with other living things like butterflies. He did a project on butterflies and certain plants that the plant wants the butterfly to get its nectar. That helps both of them to advance. And a certain plant developed a defense mechanism to keep aphids off it, to protect the plant's life so that it could thrive, so that the butterfly could thrive as well. And that's sort of the how coevolution, an example of coevolution between humans and plants. Another one, and I don't know for sure the science of this, but say like poison sumac, you don't want to get that. And its defense mechanism is its toxins, right? So at some point, a human can develop a resistance to that sumac toxin, as part of his evolution, if you will. Then what the sumac has to do to continue to survive is alter its own toxins so that it can still protect itself. So that's kind of how we can use these plants to manage the microbes that are in and on us. Does that help?
It does. That was perfect for a chief financial officer to talk about, I don't know if you call this molecular biology or whatever, but bravo. That was outstanding.
Okay. I'm sure John's going to be on the phone to me saying, no.
So Let me ask another question for you, Gary. Do you will people out there that are listening, will they be able to get a hold of the first Anacea product in the not too distant future?
Yes, and if they go to the website, they can pre-order. Where we you know we expected the product months ago, but starting a business and not so much supply chain as some of the paperwork and things like that got us delayed. So,
well, I'm gonna be going on right after this. I'm going right on to place my first order. So thank you.
Very good. I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
Well, we're gonna, as we talked earlier, it's a big game for Tara Vanderveer tonight, the Stanford women, who are trying to go. I believe if they win, they go to the Final Four, right?
That's right, and I think that's in Minnesota.
Yep, and they're Stanford's the defending champion. So, boy, it'd be amazing if they could do a back-to-back, a repeat. That would be amazing. I don't know how many teams have ever done that.
I think Tennessee and Connecticut women have, over the years. Pat Summitt and Oriama, is that his name? Gino?
Yep, yeah. Gino. Yep.
Yeah. That would be a big deal. But, another thing, and I hope I'm not jinxing it, but there's a Ripken-esque streak that Stanford has in that I think it is, it's the home of champions that, they're something like 127, 128 NCAA team national championships. But more impressive is at least one every academic year since like 1978. So it's like, about 43 years. And some schools don't even have 43 championships.
Oh, I saw that. Stanford, actually, I saw a listing. We've won more national championships than any other university.
Right.
Yep.
But that streak, and we don't have one yet this year.
Oh, we don't have one yet. Yes.
No, but so women's basketball has a shot. Baseball has stumbled a little bit, but they won their last two.
Right.
Women's golf and women's water polo are all in the mix for championships this year. But the thing about women's golf is it's not till June. So it's really getting down to the wire in terms of, if we don't get one ahead of that.
Well, kind of shifting gears to entertainment. As we know, it's Oscar night tonight. And I saw a movie last year that I just loved. I don't know if the Oscar committee loved it as much as I loved it, but I hope it gets an award. It's unfortunate. I guess a lot of the technology awards, they've taken them off because they're trying to condense the evening. They don't want it to go on and on. But this movie with Ryan Reynolds called Free Guy. Did you get a chance to see that?
No, Free Guy. Okay, it's Ryan Reynolds. No.
Yes, it is a great movie. And because you are a financial wizard, Mr. Tyrrell, you should see it because the message at the end of the movie is questioning the future of the banking industry. The banks as we know it. And I do want to ask you, because there's the whole blockchain technology and the crypto, and I don't know if you know, but I'm a big proponent of Bitcoin. So any thoughts on where the financial world's going with all of this?
I don't, and I've just kind of avoided that. We should talk offline about it. I think I could learn some things from you. I haven't really looked into it, and I'm pretty conservative as far as that kind of stuff goes.
Yeah. Well, there's a guy out there. His name is Michael Saylor. He graduated from MIT. And he's the longest serving CEO of a software company in the world. MicroStrategies. It's publicly traded.
Okay. And
he's a guy that I highly recommend to you and to anyone else out there that's interested in the future of Bitcoin. Michael Saylor, Saylor, very thoughtful, intelligent, MIT graduate, and again, the longest serving CEO of any software company in the world, and his company's publicly traded. So I guess with that, as you know, on the dot, you get the last word. I really talked way too much, but
well, it's good to catch up with you, man. It's great.
Well, it's great. No, this is awesome. We should definitely do this around big game every year, just to talk about, because I know you go to quite a few Stanford sporting events because you live, and our audience doesn't know this, you live near campus in a wonderful place called Half Moon Bay.
Yeah, it's only about 35 minutes from campus. It's about 30 miles south of San Francisco on the coast, and it's not a bad place to have been locked down in for months.
It's a
25-minute walk to the beach. So
yeah, it is. So with that, you get to take us out. I do have to ask you. I know a lot of people are looking at that trombone behind you. You might want to comment on. That's not the trombone that you played, right? Or is that a replica?
That is not the one. I was given that on a TV show. Over the years, I've been invited to be on a few, bloopers type shows and things like this. And this was one that was hosted by Roy Firestone, and the person who presented that horn to me was Bubba Smith. So it was quite a thrill. But that has not been playable. The one that I was playing in the 1982 big game is on display in the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta. So when you're in Hotlanta and you want to see a hot horn, that's where you go.
Is it really bent?
The real horn?
Yeah.
No, it was playable.
Oh, okay. So that legend has it that Kevin Moen, hit you so hard that it went down. Okay.
Well, I got back up.
We're going to debunk that rumor, right? Well, you're tough. There's no question, Gary. You are tough. And John Rainbow's lucky to have you as his CFO with the To Be Kind. So again, I'm going to put myself on mute, and you could talk about whatever you want to talk about. The message, you have amazing background, Gary. I mean, your mother is a centenarian, is giving you amazing wisdom. You went to an amazing university, Stanford. You've been part of probably one of the greatest sporting events in the history of college athletics. And you've done amazing things in the business world. And now you're working with John with To Be Kind. So you get the last word. Whatever message you want to share with our audience, take it away. So thank you so much, Gary. It's an honor to have you, and we'll hopefully get you back on the dot very, very soon again.
Okay, great. Well, one of our business taglines is choose to be kind, but it's also part of our mission. And I mentioned earlier that kindness and empathy are renewable resources. And in these fraught times, and they are fraught, each of us needs to, exercise those qualities. Give people just a little slack. You don't really know, what they're carrying inside, so kindness and empathy go a long way. And part of that is, of being able to extend those graces is to make sure you take care of yourself, and back away from cable news for every once in a while. Just check out. It'll be there when you're ready to go back. Get off social media for a little while. They call it doom scrolling. It's you need a break from that. And one of the things that I do is, through my life, I have leaned on music, as an escape and a place to find joy. We talked briefly about the Academy Awards. There's one film and then a couple collections of music that I like to recommend. One is it's a film from the past year that is it's up for a Documentary Academy Award this evening. It's called Summer of Soul, and it's about the 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival. So it was same summer as Woodstock, very fraught time. They had the the Vietnam War, plus the assassinations of the year before, and they kind of didn't know how this music festival would pull off, but the performances in it are amazing. Gospel, soul, R&B, Mahalia Jackson, Stevie Wonder, Fifth Dimension, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Sly and the Family Stone, who also performed at Woodstock. That is one to check out. 2-hour documentary, and you can't go wrong. And then another thing is, especially during our lockdown of 2020, I really started getting into my vinyl collection. And there are a couple albums that I recommend really highly. And one of them just came out in the past year. It's Los Lobos, Native Sons. And they're a great band out of East LA. And this album it's a covers album. They do one original song called Native Son. And the rest are covers of songs by artists out of the greater LA area. So it includes like Buffalo Springfield, Jackson Browne, Beach Boys, War, just to name a few. And then the other one that I lean on all the time, Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life. Came out in 1976, our high school years. Mike, I wish is on this, by the way. But when Stanford's not playing in the Rose Bowl, and I'm spending New Year's Eve at home, one of my New Year's Eve traditions is to listen to Songs in the Key of Life, cover to cover, just sort of wind down the year, get reset for the other one. So those are Gary's hot music tips for you. Thanks again, Mike, for having me on. It's been a real pleasure to see you and to chat.